any disclosure of conflict of interest? Okay. First of all, I just want to say we have Councillor Ross Robinson, Councillor Veronica Arsenault, Deputy Mayor Patty Quinn online. Okay, departmental reports. Police. Anything on police? Anyone? Oh, that's an easy one then. Fire. Anything on fire? Another easy one. Public Works. Any questions on Public Works? Patty, did you have your hand up? Or Deputy Mayor?
No, I did not. Sorry, I was coughing.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Shanahan, do you have anything? Okay. Okay, number 5, new business. Speed concerns in Logieville.
I could address that, and
Yep.
the next one. We've recently received complaints about speeding back at the former CFB Chatham
Yes.
and in Logieville. And, you know, we've received, these have come up every now and then, and what used to happen is we had a committee basically set up of the police chief, the engineer, and the public works director that would render an opinion back for council. And when we've looked at it, most of the time, those opinions were based on basically the subjectivity of the parties that were part of the committee, and not reference to a policy or a scale or a TAC manual. So the first thing is there's obviously been a change to the committee. Chief Cummings is now in place, and we do not currently have an engineer to serve on that. So we had a discussion about how we could improve our response, and what we are proposing is that by next month's meeting, what we'd like to do is establish a policy to bring to council that would say, when we get a complaint, then fact gathering will take place through use of devices to determine the amount of violations and that, and there would be a threshold set out in that policy. So if the policy says, yes, these people are the number of occurrences is exceeding what has been deemed acceptable, then the committee will have to approach council with a recommendation on how to deal with those. By the same token, if the number of complaints aren't confirmed by the fact finding, there would be a recommendation not to necessarily take measures. So if it turns out that you know, there was 2 complaints, and after 2 weeks of checking the speeds in those areas, we could not find, or could only find a few violations, we may not take action. But right now, there is no threshold, there is no policy. It is all left to the subjectivity of the 3 people, and that leads to, you know, a lack of clarity on how we're dealing with these. And we think the lack of clarity should be established by a policy that says, if there are complaints and the data shows X, then the committee will be bringing recommendations to council. So we need about the month to establish what those parameters would be and get council's permission for them. Mm-hmm. Because right now it's being done piecemeal without a reference to anything formal. So that is what we're proposing, and we're asking the committee to give us 30 days to bring this proposed policy back and discuss it. I'm not sure if many members of the committee have questions on this.
I was just going to ask that. Any members of the committee have any questions? Councillor Robinson.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you, Mr. Noel. I appreciate that. You know, this is an issue that's been coming up consistently since 2016, 2017, and you know, I think it is time that we did get a policy put together to, not to put it to rest, so to speak, but to have something to account for what is being done and what is not being done, and to be able to move forward and not have to have it on a repeated agenda, piecemealing, as you say. So I appreciate it, and I think 30 days is more than reasonable.
Thank you, Councillor. Anyone else? Councillor, Mayor Lorden has joined us. Thank you. Councillor DeBracey.
Thank you, Chairman. I guess a question around action that could come of it. What I keep hearing from the folks back at CFB or the retirement Miramichi Village is speed bumps. And I know there was just recently, Fredericton was talking about it, and their kind of rationale for not putting speed bumps was noise. So I'm just wondering, like, we don't use speed bumps, even temporary ones, like why? And I don't like asking the question why, but I'm not able to answer that question when folks are saying, this seems simple, this seems common sense, why don't you use speed bumps? I don't know how to answer it.
We reviewed the possibility of what control mechanisms we could put in place. Speed bumps have been discussed a number of times. One of the things is it falls under traffic calming. The portable ones are not really designed for higher traffic areas. They have a tendency, they are actually spiked to the pavement, and they have, like I say, they either create noise or they can create more hazard than they're good, do good. The simple reason is if a heavy piece of equipment or a truck drives over it and tears up the speed bump material itself, then it becomes a road hazard and potentially, could be more of a liability than the speed bump itself. That is kind of, they're kind of used in low traffic, low speed areas and parking lots, and you see them at malls and some different places. When you start to put these in, they're going to require, if they're more permanent, they're going to require more signage, more design based on on what you're trying to control and how much you're trying to control the traffic. I know the city of Fredericton uses them a lot, and a lot of times they use them kind of like a short roundabout. You got to slow down to go round. They're not necessarily designed for straight stretches. So those are some of the things that we're going to review as well. At what point, do we consider that we put a traffic mechanism or something in place? So I guess those will be all considered in the time and what would work best for us. And maybe there will be some streets that will appear that we may have to use them, and some streets may not be, and maybe a little more policing or a little more signage or whatever, but it may not necessarily be a speed bump, so to speak, to slow the traffic down.
Thank you, Director. Yeah, that makes sense, and I think it is that, for me anyway, in my concerns, it's clarity, and to your point of policy and data and statistics, and we can point to something. Yeah, because right now we get stuck in this weird position of trying to rationalize, and we just don't have the data. We have a recommendation, and yeah, we don't have much to go on. So I appreciate it. When would we see kind of this be the new reality of these complaints in terms of process?
As soon as the policy would be adopted, I guess we're hoping that the policy would be adopted in, well, maybe I'll propose this to council, or to the committee. Does the committee wish that this come back to them first, or could it be taken directly to council and committee, thereby speeding up the process? And it may be worthwhile to have the policy in place before school season starts. The Miramichi Valley, the road to it being an annual area of concern. But if you guys are okay with us taking it, it could be there as early as the end of July for council and committee.
Sounds good. Mayor Lorden?
Thanks.
Worship?
Yeah, just I guess maybe a comment or question back to Manager Noel based on his comment. I think we all want to see something move quickly, but I also think it's important that what gets to council for consideration, be well thought out, and I think that is the role of standing committee. So I wonder if there's an opportunity, if staff drafts something out, could the standing committee give input via email, which then allows it to go to council, having been inputted by standing committee, but without delaying. That might kind of be the best of both worlds option, if possible.
Yeah, it works for me. We can send it out to council as soon as we get it. We could also ask that the standing committee, if you wish, one of the committees in 2 weeks, that's sitting, instead of waiting a full month, take this at that level, but yeah, there's no reason that within the next 2 weeks, we can't have a memo sent to council, all members of council with the proposal, and what form you want to discuss it in, I'll leave that to the committee members.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, if it comes
sorry.
to, just to
No, go
respond,
ahead.
if it
Go
comes
ahead.
to council, if it comes to council and committee, and you know, ultimately, it's probably going to be a round of feedback required before it's ready to move all the way up anyway. So it's just trying to streamline the process. But for example, last night's conversation about the RFPs, like we did need to, you know, really have input on that. So. You know, bring it forward. Email could be a good venue, you know, to sort of get input so that when it comes, it could be close to what council would be wanting to see. That's all. Just a thought.
Councillor Robinson.
Thank you. So the manager just initially had asked for 30 days, and now it's being pushed to 2 weeks. I think they should have, staff should have the 30 days to do the assessment and to do the information, find the information that is necessary for us to make those decisions. And I think if it's rushed, it's not going to be done right. That's my fear. So my personal belief would be that you would either take the time and bring it to committee and council in August when it's ready, or bring it back to this standing committee at the next one in August as well. But I for one, don't think it's necessary nor appropriate for us to be doing our work over email. We do our work online. We do it in public, and so that's my 2 cents on that.
Thank you, Councillor. Anyone else? Just a quick question from the chair. Maybe Chief Cummings. On the speed, I think I got 3 phone calls there first of the week on Mare Street, like Councillor Tracy talked about. And I find them digital speed signs, I find they really slow people down. I wonder if we can get one there until we have our policy set up, if that's possible.
So, to the chair, I can certainly speak to Director Shanahan in regards to whether or not we have another one that is available to us to put up. I completely agree with you that they do and are very effective in slowing the speeds down. The one that is northbound facing on King Street, when you approach it, it catches your attention very quickly and lets you know whether or not you're above the speed limit. And of course, you're approaching a speed zone there, or a school zone, I'm sorry, there as well. So to your point, I think that would be something that would be very effective, and I can certainly confer with Director Shanahan, see if we have the equipment to put there and get something mounted.
Chief, the reason
Right now, Chair, we don't have any more of the speed signs. We had purchased them for the school zone, so we were to determine whether we would put these out, but I think they would be maybe a part of this policy as well. Probably would be a recommendation.
Okay.
Wherever they meet in for the criteria, depending on part of the criteria, maybe the recommendation may be to install these speed monitoring signs.
Yeah, well, that's good. I can't wait for the policy to come out then. Just another question, Deputy Chief, if you don't mind. Just on them speeding, most of the speeders are coming out of the hospice and turning around there and going down towards Tim Hortons with an awful speed. I'm just wondering if we can have a car around, just to keep an eye on them lads and ding them as they come out of there.
So to the chair, I can tell you that I have directed our traffic unit to focus on that area. There are times that you won't see them there, but they are there. And to your point, they'll go fast in both directions there. I
Oh,
actually
yeah.
stopped a car there myself this morning that was going towards the hospice. So, it had more to do with, loud noise and muffler
Yeah.
as opposed to speed, but, to your point, it's a busy street. So, yes, we can certainly focus our efforts more in that area.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Anyone else?
Mr. Chair, if I could.
Yes, sir.
Thanks. I actually wanted to agree with Councillor Ross Robinson and her comment from a moment ago. I think that it's best to follow our process rather than rush this. And yes, school is starting in a month, but this is a much bigger than just around school areas. And it's something that we have been wrestling with for years, as members have said. So I actually would agree and suggest that, as the manager said initially, let's bring this back to this standing committee when the next time this standing committee meets, so the standing committee can have input and the standing committee can send up a policy that we propose is ready and meets the vision of the committee, which is effectively how our process is supposed to work. So let's take the time and follow our process. It might take a few extra weeks, but let's do it that way, and follow our own policies and procedures, and make sure that we send up for the rest of our colleagues something that we feel is ready to go.
Thank you, Your Worship. Councilor Tbilisi? Yeah. You good? Okay. Okay, with that, we'll have an adjournment.